to our wills. I wanted to quickly point out the documents that I'm going to thumb through here at the beginning, and then the PowerPoint that we're going to run through are on Moodle in this week's section in this folder called Cover Letter Resources. So we've started a resume, we've started a LinkedIn, another document we need to do to apply for jobs or internships, or even something like an REU, REU, you need to be able to write a cover letter. So I know I've had a couple of people contact me already and say they've applied for some jobs or internships that didn't require a cover letter. That will happen, especially with those automated systems that accept your resume, filter it by keywords, and then eventually send them to a human. But you still need to know how to write a cover letter. It's good practice. So we're going to run through a group of documents that I have put in that folder there. So the first one of those is the rubric, at least the first one that I want to talk about, is the rubric for this assignment. So you'll see there's some picky formatting things here that I pointed out. Things like the block style, the heading, the words like street, avenue, first, north spelled out. That's actually something I was going to bring up when I do finally send you back your resume drafts, because that is an issue that some people had on their resumes. Even address the document to a particular person when you do this. So Mr., Ms., Dr., whoever. If you don't know, then put hiring manager. There's actually something else I want to say about that. So I have accidentally been in the situation, and I've seen others do the same thing, where like Chris Johnston at the college. Some of you know who she is. Chris Johnston could easily be a man's name or a woman's name, right? Her name is actually Christine, but she goes by Chris. So you wouldn't want to address the letter to Mr. Chris Johnston. Sometimes, if you don't know if they prefer a feminine or a masculine title, just use their full name, right? It's easier to say, Dear Chris Johnston, than it is to say, Dear Mr. Johnston, and have her come back and be like, dude, I'm not a guy, like, what the gosh. And more people are not aligning with a particular gender. Some of those titles are seen as sort of antiquated, so you want to kind of watch those kinds of things. If you have no idea, you just use Dear Hiring Manager, but try to find out who, if you can, so that you can address it to a particular person. The body of this letter should have an opening paragraph that includes the name of the position that you're applying for, how you learned about the position. So, I found it on LinkedIn or, something like that. Why specifically you are interested in that job, and a quick blip about how come you're qualified for this thing. Then you're going to have 2 body paragraphs of at least 3 sentences each. 3 sentences would be pretty darn skimpy. You want to actually provide evidence of how you are qualified for the job that you're applying for. So you want to take skills, evidence, put those kinds of things in there. Use stuff from your jobs, your sports, your class projects, all those kinds of things. Make sure that you're including some keywords, and I'll come back to that in a minute. Hopefully keywords from the job description, so that your information is likely to be pulled because you're clearly more addressing the job ad. And then you should have a closing paragraph. The closing paragraph should include your phone number and your email address, and some kind of, I look forward to hearing from you soon. Thank you so much for taking time to talk to me. I will sometimes have students say, when I've done these cover letters before, but my email address and phone number are in the letterhead. I don't care. Repeat them again here. It's important to say, here is how I would like you to reach me. Boink, right? Put that in there. Okay. And then some general stuff about organization, which kind of falls from the content, is the way I was just discussing that. And obviously I'll be looking at the mechanics of the writing. But this will help you kind of get an idea of what it is I'm looking for in that document. If you have questions as I'm going through this, please feel free to pop in and ask. So I have another set of materials in here for you. You don't have to read them, but I wanted to give you more information because the material in the book is actually relatively short on cover letters. So I found this other book, and I'm sorry, it's a bad scan job. This is scanning on my scanner at home, which is old, and so we did the best we can with what we had available here. But this is about 4 pages that give you a lot of good advice on what to include in a cover letter. It actually has a picture of what a cover letter looks like, which I think is really helpful, especially for people who are more visual. This one is longer than what I'm asking you to write because this person has more experience than what you have. But this is the idea that I'd like you to follow, this general sort of structure here, something in this format. And then they give you some more, well, here's another one by email so you can see that. And they give you some more information on how to open the cover letter, depending on how you think about things or how you want to present yourself. And some more information about the body of that letter, what should be in that body and what should not be in that body. A little more information too on how to close. So this is 4 pages that I just put up on Moodle for you to use as a reference. Use them as much or as little as you'd like, but because our book is shallow on how to do this and do this well, I wanted you to have this additional resource. So that's there for your assistance. The other thing I put up there for your sort of reference only is this thing on job ad keywords. So after teaching this class a little bit, I've discovered that students can usually pick out the keywords from a job ad pretty well, but they may have trouble sort of figuring out how to show that they meet those skills, those keywords. So here's part of what we have to do in a cover letter. In a cover letter, we have to show that we have the skills, not just tell them we have the skills. So that sounds confusing probably. When we say show, what we mean is provide evidence, right? So don't just say, I'm a good communicator. Use an example from your experiences. Use an example from your work or from your sorority, whatever it is, but show that you have good communication skills through this kind of example. So this actually works through, okay, here are some hard skills, here are some soft skills. These are the kinds of things you might see in a job ad. Notice they're fairly precise. Soft skills tend to be more general. And then here I have you work through sort of how to think about these things. In the past, I've done this as an in-class assignment, but instead of doing it that way, I just wanted to give it to you as a way to help you kind of walk through these things. So I have an example here, looking for a highly motivated, customer-oriented individual, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so I pulled out the keywords. Then I've given sort of proof, right, in the pudding here, multitasking. So that's one of the things that's in the thing, right? I've kept a 3.5 GPA while being treasurer of this and tutoring in that and playing this thing. Okay, so I didn't incorporate the word multitasking in there, but you could. I have experience multitasking as I have kept a GPA of da 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 da, right? If you're trying to get the keywords into the letter. So here I tried to just develop some examples to kind of help you show more than tell. I hope that makes sense. But this is just a resource for you guys to use as you go through that. So I decided what to do for the rest of this, to talk about what not to do in a cover letter, because I think the rubric does a pretty good job of telling you what I'd like to see included in there. And having graded cover letters now several times, and worked with students over the last 20 years on cover letters. Oh my gosh, 20 years. I'm getting old. There are things that have come up over and over again that I just know you should not do. And I want to put those on the table right away so you can start checking off your don't do this list. So I said in the beginning of your cover letter, you should tell us where you found the job, right? So I'm applying for marketing assistant. I found the job on Indeed.com. Not something like, I've been searching for weeks and I was super excited to see your position, right? They don't care about your process. They don't care, like I had a student a few years write in a cover letter, I've applied for like 40 internships and I haven't gotten any of them. Thank God that person ran his letter past me before he sent it out. You don't want to tell them that you applied for all these jobs and you didn't get any of them, because immediately they're going to be like, oh, maybe there's something wrong with him. I'm going to not even look at the rest of his materials, right? So you want to say something like, I'm writing to apply for your position in marketing, whatever, as advertised on Indeed.com. I learned from the John Deere website that you're currently hiring interns in accounting. You want to be fairly specific and brief. You already know from earlier conversations that brevity is essential, right? You want to be brief. Okay. This also shows up not only in the first paragraph, but sometimes this shows up in other places. So things like, I worked this internship so that I could work this other internship so that I could eventually have a job in whatever. They don't care about all that processy stuff. They want to, what are you going to bring to our table, right? That's going to be the key. And where did you develop those skills? Oh, you developed those skills at that internship? Awesome. Thank you for telling me that, right? So that's important. This one, I was going to say somebody's name. I wrote for so-and-so, not anybody in this class, but somebody that took this class a while back. But I'll behave, I won't say that. So don't focus entirely on how the job will help you. So a couple of semesters ago when I taught this class, I had a student literally, the entire cover letter was, I want, I like, I can do, whoa. This cover letter is to sell you to them, but you want to focus on what they need instead of what you want and need. So we don't want to be saying in that letter, I want a job in this. I want to be able to move up. I want to be able to make this kind of money. That you want to figure out how to say, this is what you want, and this is how I can fulfill what you are looking for. So this position would give me excellent experience in digital marketing. As a potential employer, I might read that like, you're going to come here, learn some stuff, and go someplace else. You're just going to come here to gain some experience. So I say, be careful about things like that. It's okay to say you're excited to learn from this position, but you want to be careful to make it not sound like you're going to learn and then leave. So that's a really important thing. And also, you don't want to sound like you have so much to learn that you're not ready for the job either. So you want to try to make the statement show your skills, show your knowledge better. And, oh, I don't know if I uploaded that example yet. There's another example there that I was going to share with you. I don't think I put it in the folder. But you want to write something like, I would appreciate the chance to develop my banking skills at a community-oriented company like yours, right? You're talking a little bit more about the company than just about yourself. That still skirts the line a little bit for me, but I think that's much, much better than just, I want to come there and learn stuff so I can leave, which is the impression that first bullet gives me anyway. So try to figure out how you can talk about yourself and how you meet their needs. That's tricky, but I know you can do it. I've seen it done. Okay, some of you are not going to like my next one. And I know that some people have told you to say things like, I can raise the core competency of the company. Don't say that unless you know specifically what the company's core competencies are, and you specifically have skills and experiences that can actually raise the core competencies of the company. So here's something interesting that you may not realize. Most companies do not have readily accessible what their core competencies are. I don't know why that's a surprise, but to some people, for some reason, that's a surprise. Those things aren't just out there on the internet for everybody to just read. In fact, I found this one on the company Johnson & Johnson, which many of you probably know. They make things like, the baby shampoo, right? You guys all know about Johnson's & Johnson's, like baby shampoo and things like that. They make a whole bunch of other products. They make things like, lotions for consumers, like not just baby lotions, but grown-up lotions. They have wound treatment, Band-Aids, all kinds of things like that. So actually, this is a company, this is an outside group that put together a sort of white paper for Johnson & Johnson on their core competencies. This is not the kind of thing you normally find, but this is something that they ran special for this particular company at some particular point in time when they needed some analysis done. Now, if you can see this carefully, I think it's, 13 pages. I was going to say 10 or so. This is 13 pages long. And if you read this, you're going to go, wow, there's a lot of stuff in here. I don't know. Do I have some experience that particularly relates to this? If you do, then you can address this concept of core competencies. But I'm telling you, in general, you're not going to find that. So I know a couple of people have come to me and said, well, so-and-so told me to put in my, right at the top of my resume, one of my qualifications is that I can raise the company's core competencies. In this day and age, they're going to throw your resume right in the bin if you're not more specific than that. Just don't even say that phrase. Okay. Don't start every sentence with I, which I know sort of relates back to something I already said. I couldn't help myself but to pull up a Will Ferrell and Anchorman meme. I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal, right? If your letter has a lot of I, then it's going to feel too centered on you, which is a problem, obviously, right? And just the fact that you start every sentence with I, or almost every sentence with I, gets repetitive. You guys know how that works. You've read plenty of things that, could they just change up the sentence structure a little bit now and then, right? That would be really, really helpful. So instead of always starting with the I do this, I do that, I would encourage you to try things like this. My experience in this will allow me to do that. By working with other students on this advertising video, I gained editing skills, whatever, it is, as a library assistant, blah, blah, blah. Now, I know in English, they kind of slap our hands for doing these kinds of sentences where we have that clause at the front that sort of sets the stage, and then we talk about the thing. But actually in business, we do use this quite a bit. It's a way to make two sentences be one sentence and kind of move things along faster. So show, see how we're showing here? As a library assistant, I was responsible for logistics of da 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 da. I'm showing you that when I was in the library, I gained this skill, logistics, that was in your ad. Okay. So again, I have seen this in cover letters, and actually, I have seen people even applying for a PhD job, right? A job that requires a PhD, like teaching at Monmouth College. I have seen somebody badmouth their current company, current institution, in the cover letter to me at Monmouth College, okay? In my mind, this is pretty self-explanatory. You do not badmouth your previous employer in any way ever to the new employer, at least not until after you have your job. And then still, that kind of stuff's better left at home. You know, that's something that you bitch to your mom about or your girlfriend or boyfriend about, right? Oh, my boss is so stupid, or oh, that company, they're, you know, I can't believe how much waste there is in that company, blah, blah, blah. This is funny. I found this on the internet. It was already blurred out, so we're missing some of the best details, I'm sure. But this person, Taylor, I hate my boss. She's yelling, right? I hate my boss. Lizzie says, yeah, me too, right? Ditto, which is not how you spell ditto, by the way. And Jeremy is the boss, apparently. You do realize we're friends on Facebook, right? So, pretty self-explanatory. Sometimes you don't even know, like the person that you're applying to, like the company you're applying at, the person that you're writing to, they may even know that other person because they're in the same industry. They may even be friendly with that person. So it's just better to not say anything like that at all. Don't sound greedy or lazy. So you don't want to mention your salary desires in a cover letter. I mentioned this before. You could shoot yourself in the foot, right? You could say you want a salary that's really low, and again, they may say, sure, I'll hire you for 40 grand when I was willing to pay you 48. Also, you may say you want 70 when they were only going to pay 52. If you want 70, they're going to think, oh, this guy's out of my price range. I can't even afford him. I'm not going to talk to him. When really you might have been one of their candidates that they were really interested in. So just focus on the employer's needs. Also, you don't want to say things like, I want to love what I do. They don't care if you love the job. I know that's like counterintuitive for us in this day and age. In this day and age, a lot of what we experience is about, what do I like? What do I want? What do I, everybody gets a trophy, right? The workplace is less flexible and less nurturing than any environment you've been in so far, probably. For a few exceptions, but for nearly all of you, that will be the case. So they don't care if you love what you do. They don't care if you want lots of flexible time. They don't care if you want to, come in at 9 instead of 7:30. The job is what the job is. They give you the terms of the job and you meet the terms of the job. So I would not build those kinds of things in. I actually know a young person who applied for a job. They didn't put it in the cover letter, but they went in for an interview. And as they were shaking the hand and the guy was, they were talking about the start date of the job, the guy was practically talking to this kid like he had the job. Woohoo, right? This kid is so dumb. Before they finish this interview, he says, oh yeah, and I'll need the first Friday off because, my buddy's getting married and I want to go to the wedding. Right? Oh my gosh. You just can't do that. You just can't. So, be careful about those kinds of things. They send a bad signal. Also, don't write off lists. So I've seen people in their resumes say, I have this and this and this and this and this skill. Just take that list and use that to form your paragraphs, right? Don't list all those things out at the top. And also, don't just repeat what you put in the resume. The cover letter is actually a chance to expand on what's in the resume. So take your keywords from the job ad, take some of the stuff you've put on your resume, put it together into a narrative, but expand on that. So how are the things that I've done that I listed on my resume directly help the company with what the company needs? Okay. So, and then I have this sentence in here, this thing in here that says group and match related information. So if I'm going to talk about 3 or 4 different skills, I want to put those in a logical order. I want to group them in a way that sort of tells a good story about who I am. So that's what I mean by group and match related things. Okay. So let's say the job requires a couple of soft skills and a couple of hard skills. I probably even would organize my letter where I talked about the soft skills first and the hard skills second, or vice versa. But I would put them together. So one thing in the job might be data analysis. Another thing in the job might be statistical software packages. I would put those 2 things together. The others might be the ability to communicate and the ability to work as a team. Well, those are both more like soft skills. So I would put those 2 things together in a paragraph. They kind of group together naturally. That's the kind of thing you want to do. Think about telling a narrative and what that would look like. This particular one is harder for me. Okay. Don't sound too hesitant. I have trouble with that. As Midwesterners, most of you are Midwesterners, you may have trouble with that. Midwesterners are always, not always, I don't want to overgeneralize. Midwesterners in general tend to be very conciliatory, very, whatever you want, whatever you say, and, I'm just okay, I'll bring a casserole, kind of thing, which I totally understand. So I find myself saying things like, well, I think I could maybe do the thing. No, I need to say, I can do the thing because, right? Which feels arrogant for many of us, but actually, that's what you want to say. I can do the thing because. Now, if you're too pushy, but most of you will not be, if you're too pushy, you can come off as arrogant. So I have in here, I'm the perfect candidate because, right? You're not the perfect candidate. None of us are the perfect candidate, but I'm a good candidate, and this is why. I'm a strong candidate because, right? That's the kind of thing we want to say. Many of you are like me, you hedge. I believe, or I think, are hedging. You're not quite confident in your skills, or at least that's the message that you're giving off, right? I actually think I'm pretty good at data analysis, but if I wrote in the thing, I think I could do some data analysis. Can she do data analysis or not? She thinks she can. What does that mean, right? No, I have skills in data analysis. I could put that in the letter, right? I need to be able to sell myself a little bit. This cover letter is a sales pitch. Think about when you get sold to. Too soft to sell, you're not interested. Too hard to sell, screw that guy, I'm walking away from the sale, right? I have done this before, actually. I was in getting my truck fixed. I actually didn't know what happened to it. It cut out on me at like 10 o'clock at night when I was coming back out of the airport. And I took it to the dealership and was just asking them to figure out what was wrong with it. And this guy was hard selling me on buying a new truck. And I just kept saying, like, I need to go see what's wrong with my truck. I'm not going to buy a new truck until I find out what's wrong with my truck. And he just like, no, just leave your truck to us and let that be our problem. Just walk out of here with this new truck. And he was so pushy about it. I did finally swear at him, which I, looking back, kind of feel bad about. But it was like, you're so pushy, you're so arrogant, you're so over the top that I'm turned off by it, right? So you want to think about selling yourself strongly, but not arrogantly, which is a delicate balance, I understand. All right, do you guys have questions for me about cover letters?